As you walk through the stores, you see hearts, the word love plastered all over, things, objects that we can give to those that we profess our love to. Love is a feeling of joy and gratitude, of happiness, of compassion and hope, that we're grateful for the people and things that are in our lives. But what is love? You know, when we think about February the 14th, and there's a long history about love and how we've been celebrating Valentine's Day for a long time. But have you stopped to really look at, to examine what love is? Because we cannot create it if we don't understand it, if we're not practicing it. Because as this podcast is about creating a generational love cycle, the opposite of creating the pain cycle or continuing the cycle of pain. I was a little girl when I realized what love wasn't. Love is not confusion. It is not having you to go against your morals. It is not being in the dark, being alone. It is not it is not lies or being called a liar. That's more of pain. And love is not pain. Love is not fear. Love is the opposite of that. And so I set my navigation to find out what love was. What is it? And many things came into my lap: the Bible, the King James Bible, the Lord's Prayer, and seeing, learning about the life of Jesus. And just throughout my life, learning about people, great leaders that put love first, put doing the right thing first before themselves. I remember laying in my bed many nights looking up at the dark lake sky and just really feeling love. Something out there loved me. And learning later that something out there was also in me. That something is something that continues to make my heart pump, beat, my lungs dilate, my stomach digest. That very power, I am a representation of that very power that is out there, that holds the planets in suspension, keeps them rotating, keeps the sun and the earth from a distance, that keeps us warm during the warm months, that keeps the land separate from the oceans. That very same power resides in me. And I often repeat the Bible verse in 13 because, I've mentioned that it's not about religion, right? How we respond is not about religion. It's about our belief in good and evil. And what is that? Is something harmful or is it helpful? Does it allow space, freedom to live instead of opposing someone of doing something that they feel is in their heart to do? Love doesn't constrict, it helps to expand. It helps people to become a better version of themselves. When I think about my children, I think about my spouse and my mother. Love listens. It listens and understands that not everyone is on the same path, but it hopes that there is an awakening that occurs, that people will realize that there are more than their experiences, that consistent awakening, that revelation, revealing this loving power that created us, created the world, the universe, and beyond. As I mentioned, love frees people, allows people to be who they are. realizing that every person has unique gifts and talents within them, that we are servants and not people here to control others, to demean them, to demoralize them, to dehumanize them with words and with actions. That when we really love someone, we want to bring out the best in them. We share information that we believe is helpful. We admit when we are wrong or have committed an error. We're okay with apologizing because we know that an apology does not limit us. As a matter of fact, it strengthens us when we're able to admit our wrong. Love doesn't want secrets, dark secrets. Love doesn't leave you in the corner. Love includes you in the experiences and helps you to see that you are a vital part to whatever it may be, a job, to family, to a neighborhood or community. We are more about including people instead of making them feel like they don't belong. So many of the words that are in the Bible, in the book of Corinthians, chapter 13, love is patient. Love doesn't fail. We don't see ourselves as failures. We see ourselves as students in life that are learning. Love doesn't envy because we realize that everyone has their path, their own experiences, their own curriculum, if you will, in the school of life. When we think about love, love doesn't boast. We don't need to boast. We don't need to tell people who we are because our actions often speak for us. We don't need to compare ourselves with others or make someone feel like they're less than, because love realizes that no one is greater than the other. No one is greater than the other. That no title does not trump morality, or title doesn't trump, what's right, what's wrong. We don't use our titles to control people. If anything, we use our titles to bring about good for the greater good. Love isn't proud. Love does not dishonor other. We talked about that. Our children, I teaching my children that, you learn people's name, you call them by their names, and it's so easy to say sweetie, cutie, it's easy because I've used it and it's easy. It's also easy for others to say, something of opposite name, right? Because if you can say the sweeter names, then sometimes when you're not feeling as, kind, it's easy for you to use a name that isn't as kind. So it's better just to call people by their names, learn their names. People take pride in their names, not the color of their skin, not their race, not their religion, not their environment they grew up in, their mother, their father, their grandfather. But you love appreciates the person for who they are and know that they're an expression of truth. Love doesn't keep records of wrongs. Here's a big one, and you think about all of your experience and it's like, how can I let that go? They did me wrong. Well, love realizes that, again, not everybody is on the same level, consciousness and unconsciousness. It took an experience, right? An experience that was unconscious in nature to make me more conscious about what I wanted in life, that I wanted to experience real love, true love. That some people don't know how to handle the pain that someone else projected on them, that cycle. The love realizes that you are not the action, even though, and this is it, even though you committed abuse. Some may disagree. You are not an abuser. You are not the label. You're more than that. You, like me, we are in human flesh. We're spiritual beings. But many of us, we lose our way. We lose our way in forgetting who we are and allow the storms of life to sweep us up and turn us around and go down paths that are quote unquote unbecoming of us. But that inner spiritual being is still there. And often when we label people, these labels stick to them and they continue to become that label instead of reminding them or taking off that label with compassion, with hope, with understanding that you are not that label. Can people change? Yes, they can. Can people see the truth? Yes, they can. But sometimes it takes others who are in truth and in love to help them. I know what I've gone through. You know what you've gone through. And it was real enough that it happened, right? But it doesn't need to define you are the person that committed those acts or the inaction of others. When we talk about love, I love this, that love always protects, it always trusts, it always hopes, and it always perseveres. That one experience is not the reason to stop living, to stop doing the things that are true to your heart, that are true to you, music, dancing. Often people say, childhood, this is when it happened. So they close themselves off to their childhood. And the child in us is the link to who we are, to what we are here to do. So often when we close ourselves off to that childhood, we close ourselves off to our dreams, to our expressions, our gifts, our talents. That often will be what we need to not only heal ourselves, but to help heal others. The beautiful music, the angelic voice, the poise, the swan movement of the dancers, those are the things that can help remind us of who we are, that child in us. So love does not restrict. We don't restrict ourselves to an experience. We continue to expand on who we are in truth, that we are beyond our experiences. Nothing, no experience defines us. So when you think about love this Valentine Day, what does love really mean to you? Does it mean harmful things? Resentment, shame, bitterness, jealousy, anger, anxiety? Does it mean to hit, to push, to kick, to name call? To only be loving when you're in a good mood? Or does it mean, today is not the best day for me to have this conversation? Let's address it another day. Give me time, because love is patient. Love realizes when we need time to just be for a moment. Love realizes when we have reached the top of our mental thermostat and we need that time to cool down, to address those inner things, those inner emotions and feelings that we have not healed from. Love takes time. Love realizes things don't happen overnight. Nothing happens overnight. Love wants people to be free, free to learn, to love, to heal, to do the work that they are here to do, to express themselves in a divine way. So I hope you have a fantastic Valentine's Day. And not only that, more than ever, I hope that you will seek the truth about who you are and seek the truth about what love is and be that expression of love as much as you're able to do. Because remember, it takes time, it's patient, and that love is something that you can't find on the outside. Love comes from the inside out. I hope you have a fantastic week, and feel free to share your comments about your definition of love. Because again, as I've said, love, when I shared that definition out of the Bible in First Corinthians chapter 13, it's not about religion. It's more about what feels right to you, what energizes you, what resonates with your heart and your mind. Because that, whatever that is, that pureness, that joy, that happiness is something that you can give to others. And then it becomes a domino effect. Then it becomes the create a generational love cycle. Because now that you embody, you recognize the love that is within you, you nourish it with loving actions, with taking care of yourself, eating in moderation, exercise, physical activity, telling yourself that you love yourself, recognizing the gifts within you, expressing them in whatever way is your way, sharing information with your children, helping them to be who they are, helping them to express themselves, being patient with them, loving them, calling them by their name, telling them that they matter, listening to them, to their emotions and their feelings. What do they love to do? And including them in events and in conversation, game night, movie night. How can you express love? It doesn't always have to be about money, because anybody can go out and buy something. But when you really express it in just those minor things, my mother, and talking to us and sharing principles, things that she learned from her life, lessons, principles, and saying, I love you, and hugging and listening. And just being there. How can you show love? How can you embrace it? How can you nourish it? And how can you express it? I'll talk to you guys soon. Remember, you have within your power to create a generational love cycle. You break that cycle of pain with the thoughts. You change those thoughts. Those thoughts that created it, you change it. If you know that things aren't supposed to be a certain way, deep down in your heart, you can figure out how to change it within your own life and within your future generation. You have the power to do that. You have the right to do that. I'll talk to you guys soon. Take care of yourself.